I got two things again.
Oh. Alright. Let's show us what's in the box. Top secret.
First one is for Grizz.
Oh.
What?
Hang on, what do we got?
Keep going, though, man. You're doing good.
Yes!
Dude, you punched the fuck out of
Dude,
man.
Holy fucking shit!
So good. Yo, Captain Perth.
I didn't know what was going on there.
Man. Fucking got him.
Fucking got him, dude.
Holy shit. Dude, good game. Fucking good game.
Are you ready?
I knew it!
Cap, look at my fish.
Oh, wow.
My little bite. Ready? Bitch.
Always steal those kisses from you.
Always have to send out kisses from you. Always have to send those kisses from you.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Always have to steal my kisses
From you. Always have to steal my kisses from you.
I got two things again.
Oh. Alright. Let's show us what's in the box. Top secret.
First one is for Grizz.
Oh.
What?
Hang on, what do we got?
Keep going, though, man. You're doing good.
Yes!
Dude, you punched the fuck out of
Dude,
man.
Holy fucking shit!
So good. Yo, Captain Perth.
I didn't know what was going on there.
Man. Fucking got him.
Fucking got him, dude.
Holy shit. Dude, good game. Fucking good game.
Are you ready?
I knew it!
Cap, look at my fish.
Oh, wow.
My little bite. Ready? Bitch.
Always steal those kisses from you.
Always have to send out kisses from you. Always have to send those kisses from you.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Always have to steal my
Kisses from you. Always have to steal the kisses from you.
I got two things again.
Oh. Alright. Let's show us what's in the box. Top secret.
First one is for Grizz.
Oh.
What?
Hang on, what do we got?
Keep going, though, man. You're doing good.
Yes!
Dude, you punched the fuck out of
Dude,
man.
Holy fucking shit!
So good. Yo, Captain Perth.
I didn't know what was going on there.
Man. Fucking got him.
Fucking got him, dude.
Holy shit. Dude, good game. Fucking good game.
Are you ready?
I knew it!
Cap, look at my fish.
Oh, wow.
My little bite. Ready? Bitch.
Always steal those kisses from you.
Always have to send out
They're back.
Yo.
Hey.
Hello. Hey, mate.
We'll start recording.
Hey, freaking mate.
on?
How's it going?
Hey.
Nice to see you. Welcome.
Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
We are running a little late. Oh, did we do a Discord post and Twitter?
Yep. Yep.
Beautiful. Wow.
I'm copping 10,700 channel points in OGR, boys.
Oh my god.
Fuck, I got 10,300. How the fuck did you get that?
Let me have a look. See. What the
What
fuck?
you
I'm on 6,000. How's that
Whoa.
possible? Oh, because I use that. I use those.
Oh, you use the OG account. Yeah. It all makes sense.
All coming together. Well, we're running a bit late. Shall we
Let's jump straight
Do
in.
kick it in the teeth?
Yep.
That's a
do
saying, right? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, kick it straight in the teeth.
I think I've heard it from you only. All right, counting down in 3,
Down.
2, 1.
Freaking g'day and welcome to Oceanic Gaming Radio. That's OGR, the gaming podcast from Australia. Very good. This is episode 69. Very nice, firstly.
Nice.
And it is the 21st of the 8th, 2023. We are recording this live at 7 p.m. AWST from twitch.tv/Oceanic Gaming Radio. Yeah, welcome. My name's Captain Perth, and alongside me, as always, my brothers in arms, my brothers with arms, Grizzly King 86 and Pavloverface. How are we, fellas? We good?
Hey, boys.
Doing well?
Monday once again.
Yeah,
It is.
It's definitely a Monday.
Yeah,
it's
feels
Feels like
always.
bittersweet, isn't it? Because Mondays suck in general, but podcast
Yeah.
is fun.
Podcast
So it's
night.
like, you know,
But the good thing is we've gotten through Monday, right?
It's
We're at the
true.
end of it, you know. Now we get to have a bit of fun on the OGR podcast, which is always. I always look forward to this. This is good.
yeah.
you know?
And Cap, episode 69, big one.
Yeah,
Big one.
big
isn't
one.
it?
This
It's
is
a nice
a
one.
yeah, very
Nice
nice. yeah. No, this is a milestone in my opinion, and a very important one. So,
We'll
But-
actually have some custom episode out this week. You can,
will we?
wait and see for that.
Is it a bit raunchy, Pav? Have I seen this?
Oh, look,
probably have
I
seen
think it's
this.
pretty
I think-
raunchy.
Yeah, excellent.
It's funny
Excellent.
because Cap remembers, but Chris does not remember
No,
what I'm
no
talking
fucking
about.
idea what you guys are talking about.
I know what it is, but I don't remember when the image was taken, which I think alludes to.
Oh,
the state.
yes, I
Yeah.
do.
There
Oh,
it is.
no. Oh, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
X-rated perhaps, but you'll
It
find
is,
out if you're
potentially.
watching this or listening to this in the podcast. If you're listening to this live on Twitch, you're probably going to want to go and check out the podcast episode for the the image. So keep an eye out tomorrow when
Yeah.
the image the podcast goes live. So yeah, pretty good. Now, Pav, how was your weekend, mate? What's new? What's been happening?
Look, for a change, not too big a one. I actually
Yeah.
relaxed. It's been a string of big ones in the last couple of months.
Yeah,
so.
I know. Yeah, you've earned a bit of
Had
relaxation.
a good downtime weekend. Did some washing. Believe it or not, I'm almost on top of my household duties. It's incredible.
Well.
How good is that feeling?
Oh, dude,
That is
absolutely
pretty good.
But
That's
had
pretty
a
good, Pav.
had a nice Sunday though. Had our final debrief meeting with Pixel. Talked about all things, how things went.
Yep.
And then went,
Oh, yeah?
which went really well. We were there for many an hour.
Many an hour.
Yeah, it
Really.
was a big one. It was good. Always good to see those folks though.
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely.
went straight to Mighty Blue Justice's place once again. Our second. It was our third match, State v State, Perth versus the rest of Oz. This time we went against Queensland again. It was a bit of a redemption match. We did not
Yeah, right.
redeem ourselves.
Was it a clean victory?
Yeah, look,
Queensland?
there was some crazy members of crazy Six Siege players of the other team. So
Dude,
they
that's fucked.
definitely
I
had the
hate
upper
that.
hand. But look, at the end of the day, I think Stream Perth, I think we had more fun. I think we had some better plays, some
Yeah.
more fun moments, and like at the end of the day, I think that was the main takeaway. We had a good time, and I think people saw that, and that's what
Do
what
we
want.
match up against other states soon, Pav, or what's the
Yeah,
go?
well, it's we've only got one match left. It was only Adelaide and Queensland, including us, partaking in this event. So it was just the three of us, and it was a couple, just a round robin. We played each state twice. We've got our final match with Adelaide on Sunday again, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, this time.
Nice.
This time will be on
And
Twitch Adelaide's
Have
channel.
we beaten Adelaide yet, or do we get in?
Yes.
By Adelaide. Okay,
So yeah,
there
that
you
was
go.
our first game. It was close, but we took the lead on that one.
Shit, yeah, dude. And now you've got all this knowledge from fighting against a stronger
yeah,
foe to take back to Adelaide to really rub it in.
Exactly. We've been sweating. I think they're actually playing Queensland tonight at some point. Or might already been finished now. But
Now
yeah,
we've if Sukai's listening to this, I just want to say you got to lift, mate. You got to lift.
Yeah.
You got to carry your team to
Rise up.
victory.
Rise up, brother. Yeah,
Come
you got
on,
some
man.
friggin' work to do.
they did very well. They only team killed once this week, so they've definitely improved.
Wow.
Who was the team kill?
I
Was it
believe
Sukai?
it's Team Kill Tifa is the name she's
Right.
had and stuff. But
Love
only once, so it's an improvement. The team's coming together, and I'm proud of them. They're doing well.
Hell yeah, dude.
But
Good
yeah,
on
very
them.
good-
That's
very-
awesome.
Very good fun. We actually got a front page slot. We were on Twitch's front page.
Pulling those big numbers.
Big numbers. It was pretty cool to see. But yeah,
Yeah.
good fun all around. We're nearly
Very rad,
to
dude.
the end of the Starlight. It was for Starlight as well, so nearly done with this campaign.
Yeah. When does Starlight normally wrap up?
So it's Game Changers. It occurs throughout the month of August, every August. So we're about halfway,
Yeah.
just in the last week now, essentially.
Yeah, sweet.
I hear
Yeah,
it's
nice
like
one.
5K or something, isn't it, Pav?
Yeah,
Total?
yeah. Our goal for this event, the entire state v state event, was 5,000, and we're at 4,000. We're over 4,800, so we're so close. We got very
Oh,
close.
you're getting
Damn, nice,
surely.
dude.
That's huge.
Very good.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
wicked, dude. Maybe we can chuck in the Starlight donation link in this week's episode, perhaps.
Hey,
Oh yeah, great
idea.
idea. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
check
Yeah,
it
I
out.
like
so
that.
if you are listening and you want to donate towards the campaign, check out the description of this podcast episode. So yeah, we'll try to remember to put that in. And if you can't, then fuck, sorry.
I mean, I'm writing the description right now. I should probably do it.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
do it.
chuck
I
that in
I got
there.
it. I'm amongst it. I got it done.
For sure. Oh, nice one, mate.
Dun,
And Grizz, what about you, mate? You had a big one.
Filled you guys in a little bit, I guess. But on last week, we got a email from we got a booking agent for the band, which I think I might have told you guys. But
Yeah, nice.
essentially, because we're relatively new as him taking us on, we try to say yes to as many things as we can, just so that he starts to book us with better shows. And this particular opportunity was a pretty good one. It was at Prince of Wales in Bunbury, and that venue itself has hosted some of the biggest bands around for their West Australian tour. You know, most big bands will stop and play there. You know, names like Gyroscope and Carnival, and all sorts of great Aussie rock bands. They've got an in-house sound guy and a great big PA system in there, and a smoke machine and lighting and everything. So we're like, hell yeah, we'll take that. But it did mean that we had to drive down, which was a couple of hours south of Perth on Friday Cap, to get down there to set the gear up and play. But it was awesome, mate. We got some great photos, and
Hell yeah, dude.
he recorded everything, dude. He recorded our whole set through his desk and videoed it as well. So we've got like,
Oh, that's great.
yeah, it's cool. Hey, so gonna have to sit down and have a look through it. But yeah, that was
Will you
pretty
chuck
cool.
it up on YouTube or something? Or
I have no idea. I don't know what we do with it. So maybe potentially, if people want to hear
depends
it,
on the quality,
I
I suppose.
depends on the quality. I mean, it might make us sound terrible. From what I've heard, it sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I can imagine you guys are pretty switched on musos. So
Yeah, getting pretty tight slowly. But so that was
yeah.
Friday, mate. And then Saturday, I had another gig in Leederville. So I did back to back late nights. But, mate, on Sunday, I want to tell you this story because it was my wife's birthday. Lunch wasn't her birthday, but it was the day we're celebrating it. And this kid tried to lift up a drain.
What?
And it dropped. Like it was at a pub, and they had like a playground, and there was a drain there, and he lifted up this drain and he dropped it on his hand, and it was just like blood everywhere. Yeah, kind of like my kids were there, and everyone was just kind of like it was like a real one of those. You know how you do first aid and you learn first aid and you learn
Yeah.
how to kind of it
Oh,
was all
dude.
that. Get the first aid kit and wrap it up and a bit of pressure and everything else and send
That
them
is
off
a
to
yikes from
hospital.
me, dog.
Big yikes, mate. I was very
Oh,
tired and I
man.
was like, this is just,
I'm
this
not
is
ready
just
for
the
this. Not
icing on the
prepared.
cake, mate. Yeah.
Oh, dude, jeez. God, well, I hope he's all right. Or they, whoever they are.
They
Bloody
shipped
hell.
him off to hospital. Yeah, who knows, mate? But looked pretty
Whew.
savage. Bit of a savage
Wow.
hand wound, mate.
Oh man. Well, how was the birthday lunch? Was the food good?
It
Yeah.
was actually very good food, mate. Had a burger that had this like pineapple coleslaw where they had like chunks of pineapple through a
Whoa.
coleslaw on this marinated chicken. It was just, really nice, mate.
Damn. So it's kind
Very
of like a
good.
Hawaiian burger.
Yeah, kind of like a Hawaiian burger. It wasn't crumb though. It was like this almost like this chili chicken kind of thing. Quite a nice. Hey,
Whew.
actually, question, Cap. Those
Yeah.
black buns, as in the burger buns, the black
Yeah, the
buns.
charcoal ones. Yeah.
Yeah, why are they black, mate? Kind of put
Because
me
they got
off.
charcoal in them.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, I
What
think
do you
so.
reckon? Do you reckon they're good?
I think. Well, they don't really taste like they've got charcoal, do they? As well,
Ah,
well, the ones I've had in the past haven't. So I don't know. I think they're just a bit of like a looks thing, aren't they?
yeah, right.
I
Okay.
don't know. Just maybe
Yeah,
a
it
little bit of
tasted good,
extra
but I was
effort.
just kind of like a little bit like, oh, I don't know how I feel about eating this
This
charcoal
bun.
bun.
There's a burger joint in oh god, freaking not West Perth, not Mount Lawley. That does charcoal buns with some of their burgers, and they're pretty good. But
Okay.
yeah, it's
All right.
I don't know. It's
Maybe I'm
a
just a
personal
simpleton.
preference thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bit of a simpleton,
yeah.
mate.
I don't know. What's your standard, Grizz? If you're gonna have a filling for a burger, you're gonna go chicken, or you're gonna go like some kind of beef kind of patty?
I reckon a classic smash burger is my go-to,
Oh,
Cap.
dude, so with you,
Yeah,
so with you. There's a
yeah.
couple of
What about
cracker
you?
smash burgers. Yeah, look, I'm kind of the same. I think a really well smashed patty and like some real classic American cheddar kind of on top, and
Ooh,
don't mind too much
yeah.
about the sauces or anything. But I think those two are a very important, constituent of my ideal burger.
Dude, I
You
had a
know?
Ripper burger with you. No, it's not at the DTC, at the other place with you and me. They're
Royales?
gonna have some Royales. Oh man,
Yeah.
they got some Ripper burgers there, eh?
Yeah, I actually reckon recently their quality's gone down a fair bit, and we've been moonlighting other burger restaurants, but
Oh no,
which is a bit of a
really?
shame, to be honest. It's always
Yeah,
been
right.
our tried and true, and it's just I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. It's almost like the chefs just aren't quite keeping up with the
Quality.
standards. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Okay.
a shame,
Yeah.
but I tell you what, there's two new burger places opening up in our immediate area, which is like I love burgers, so I'm fucking all about it. I'm ready to go. So
Couple of burgers, yeah.
big fan. But Airy J in the chat, that's exactly the place I'm talking about. Meat and Bun in Mount Lawley, doing the
Bun.
charcoal burgers.
Hang on. Oh, I think I've been to Meat and Bun in Mount Lawley, I think. I didn't
Yeah.
have one of the charcoal burgers though.
They've
But
got one in
yeah.
Freo as well. Yeah, so we've got. I think there might be a Meat and Bun opening up on the Vic Park Strip, which is
Dang,
fucking
dude.
banging. And then there's also another one called Home Run, which is opening up down the street as well, which I'm freaking keen for. Again, love my burgers. But there's a wicked one, a few suburbs away from me called Burger Freak, and it's got like a sort of Little Shop of Horrors kind of vibe going on, and oh man, they do some really good smash burgers. I'll tell you what, I could talk about it all freaking day. I could talk about it all freaking day. But yeah.
Love it. Yeah, well, Cap, what have you been doing, mate? What's happening on the Cap agenda recently?
Well, honestly, not an awful lot. Been fairly cruisy, which has been nice. On Saturday, what do we do? We did fair bit of shopping and stuff, and just kind of got our collective shit together. I started full-time work again this week, so I've gone back up from 3 days to full-time.
Yeah.
So I had my first Monday in the office again today, which was great. But yeah, so just wanted to get some, just like things like meal prep together. And so I put together a big spag bowl, and we're trying to up Ted's solids game a little bit. So I made a baby frittata and a bunch of mini muffins, and he is frothing on those. So that was cool.
Dude, those just don't. As soon as I make something for my kids at home, they eat like the whole lot of muffins in a day. It's just like,
Yeah,
just
I suppose that's the problem with the kids that age being fairly autonomous, right? Like, it's fairly easy for them to just go into the fridge and just go, "Yep, I'll be taking all of the muffins, thank you very much." But yeah,
look
that
at
was a
this.
lot of fun.
Look at this nice raid we've just had from the
Freaking
Jazz Cook
nice.
clan.
Yeah, thank you very much,
There's a
Jazz.
lot
Welcome
of
on in, Raiders.
nices.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so I made a bunch of mini muffins for Ted, and then what else did we do? That afternoon we went and watched the Matildas lose to who was the team they played? Sweden, and it was pretty sad because one of the guys at work's Swedish, so he gave us heaps of shit today, which was you kind of you got to cop it on the chin, but it still sucks regardless. But that was pretty fun.
The football cap, wasn't it?
Look, in all honesty, no. I don't really watch any sport apart from esports, so which is a bit lame, but whatever. I enjoy it. So, in all honesty, honestly, the only sport I watch is basically Dota.
Yeah, dude, I'm kind of with you, and I have the argument around the old is esports a sport all the time with a couple of my mates.
Oh man,
they just won't stop. But you just wait till their kids grow up.
Yeah.
And they're watching esports at the Olympics and things, and they're going to be speaking to them about it, Jeez.
But you know what? The idea of sports in general is just like, it's just a shared interest that people have turned into a game, and it's become popular on a wider scale, and then suddenly turned into something that people place bets on. That's kind of the base level of it, right? Or like, they want to watch people play this thing because they play at a high operating level. There's no difference between that and esports, in my opinion.
I would say anything competitive, right? Or anything that you're against another player, touted against another player.
Yeah, it's such
sword fights in the toilet could be a sport.
Are we bringing it in, are we?
Yeah.
All right. Where do we go? We better do some practicing soon. I'll meet you at training.
Yeah.
Love it.
On the weekends.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that was my Saturday. And then Sunday, what did we do Sunday? Oh, we actually took Ted to Matilda Bay in Perth, which is a lovely kind of riverside beach. Caught up with a friend there. And
some mimosas, Cap, or what?
I haven't been drinking, so I had no mimosas. Right. But we kind of just cruised around, and then Ted kind of rolled around in the sand for a bit, and he thought it was the best thing ever. So we haven't done much sand play with him yet, so that was really fun. And then what else?
Did he try to eat sand, Cap?
No, he didn't actually, because I think at daycare they might have introduced him to sand, so I think he kind of knew not to eat it.
Yeah, I think you only do that a couple of times before you realize it's not ideal.
Yeah, you're like, this is not fun. this is the opposite of fun. So yeah, so no, he didn't eat any sand, thank goodness. But it was funny because he's just starting to figure out that he can he can go backwards with crawling and stuff like that, which is great for self-preservation because you want them to kind of crawl backwards off things, when they're getting off like a bed or a couch or anything like that. It was hilarious because when we got to the beach, there was like a very, very slight 5% incline towards the beach, towards the waterline, and Ted, for some reason, thought it was much steeper than it actually was, and so he's like crawling backwards towards the waterline. It was
really?
So much. Yeah, it was just really weird.
He's only just I guess okay. Cool. Yeah. So he's probably got that from. He goes downstairs backward, does he, Cap? The old.
Well, he surprised us the other day. We were in bed, and then he wanted to get off the bed, and we are kind of getting up anyway. And then he kind of just like got himself off the bed by kind of going backwards and putting his legs down onto the floor. And I was just like, Jesus, who taught you that? That's crazy. Like, just weird. Yeah, so he's kind of figuring shit out. But so kind of obviously there's the thought process there of this is how I exit and make it down slopes and other bits and pieces. So yeah, I don't know. It was just funny, but yeah, that was basically my weekend plus a shit ton of Baldur's Gate 3. Not a shit ton. I'm squeezing as much as possible.
We will probably get there and how's your game and go on. But are you through Act 2 yet now, Cap?
No. I don't even know how close I am, to be honest. But I've done we'll get super
Yeah.
into it, but like
We will.
I've done probably as much of the side content as I think I possibly could do at this stage, and I think I'm mostly just going to do mainline shit now. But yeah, we'll dive into it deeper, and man, I cannot wait because yeah, we got a good episode planned today. So let's freaking jump in. Bit of house rules. Just want to excuse me, excuse me. Just want to thank everyone for being here. As always, whether you're listening and watching live via twitch.tv/Oceanic Gaming Radio, we're live from 7 p.m. AWST. And if you're listening at home via podcast, any of your favorite podcasting platforms, by the way, you can listen to in glorious audio fidelity. But if you're listening and thinking, God, I'd love to be in the Twitch chat with such legends as Blindsided Moose and Sukai AU and Nux Kitsune and Pixel Rick and a bunch of other legends. Yo Nibby, who's dropping freaking Pixel Ninetales emotes, legend, and Jazz Cook, obviously. You can join them again by going to twitch.tv/Oceanic Gaming Radio. So go ahead and do that. Now, if you are listening via podcast, we do ask one thing: drop a review. It has to be 5 stars. Sorry, I don't make the rules, but that's just how it is. And it needs to also note why you think Captain Perth is the most handsome of the three of us. So you need to tell us your reasonings.
I'll be pretty hard to do that, maybe. Give me your best.
But yeah, so if you wouldn't mind dropping a couple of a review, and that would really help us out big time. So we'd really appreciate it. Speaking of helping us out, our ongoing Patreon cohort, you guys are bloody legends. These are the people that every month drop $5 into our bank account, and we very much appreciate it. That goes towards all the, just keeping the lights on in this podcast. So yeah, those legends are the following: Sukai, Moosey, Caging Runt, Sergeant Paul, Lee GD, Jay Libs, Brendan, Dan Fantastic, and Strops. Thank you, legends. Really appreciate it. If you would like to join that cohort of wonderful freaking, just Patreons, you can do so by going to patreon.com/OGR show, or just go to ogr.show and follow the links. Either. There's all the links on there. So there you go. House rules out the road.
Yeah.
Now it's a big one. No, it's not really a big one. So it's a tasty, just well portioned meal is today's episode. I think everything's in the right portions. You're not going to get too much meat. You're not going to get too much potato. You're not getting too much salad. So everything's the right amount, as you should always hope and dream for. So jumping straight in on the quest log today. We got 3 major topics. The first of which we're going to dive straight into. Starfield has gone gold, Grizzly.
Done it, mate.
Gone gold, meaning that effectively the whole idea of going gold is when, the CDs are basically ready to be pressed because the code base is effectively ready. It's done.
The game is ready to be rolled out, Cap. It's
ready to be rolled out. Now, the idea of a game being done in our day and age is obviously a little bit different to back in the day when they'd ship it and wouldn't need 50 patches to get it into a playable state. But it is technically gold. So preloads are now available for the Xbox Series S and X, and also Windows PC. So that's using the Xbox app on PC. You can preload there. Otherwise, if you want to preload via Steam, you're going to have to wait till the 30th of August. And we've got apparently review keys are out and about in the wild, of which we got none. Can you believe it? On this flagship Australian podcast, not a single freaking review key came our way. Unbelievable.
After seeing this, I did go and apply for my key on Keymailer.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. They probably won't give it to me because I don't stream much at the moment, but you never know. If I do, I'll let you know. Yeah. I'll hand it over to you, Cap.
Oh, mate, you legend.
Right.
Well, I'm probably just going to play this for free on Game Pass, but we'll get to that shortly. But one thing to note, Grizz, this game is also massive. Baldur's Gate was like 110 gigs or some shit like that.
Yeah.
This is closing in at 140 gigs on PC and 126 gigs on consoles, which is huge. Freaking huge.
Yeah, that is massive. Dude, it is. I feel like this is a thing of modern age, right? I mean, Call of Duty
Yeah.
Modern Warfare cap is like 235 something
Yeah.
for the
Well, I
for the
remember
game.
when people were shitting the bed over Modern Warfare, whatever number it was, breaching the 100 gig mark. And then I think
Yeah.
Destiny 2 also did the same thing.
That's
And now
right.
we're just kind of like that's the world we live in now. So
Dude,
that's
my hard drives are all 500 gig. Like, could you
Ooh,
imagine?
yeah.
Like that's I can
Yeah.
download like one game on there.
You're
on
like
the
2
current
years
sizes.
away from barely being able to fit a game on your hard drive. You better sort that out. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see. I'd love to see a stat on the trend on average video game size. I guess, see, average video game size is a difficult one because, you know, obviously AAA games versus like small indie titles that are like, you know, Brotato. I'm sure that's
Stardew
probably
Valley
like
is
100
half a
megabyte.
gig. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brotato, yeah, it would be
Yeah.
tiny.
I'd love to maybe get like some data on the average size of video games over the years for, I guess, you know, like AAA full-fledged action RPG kind of style or shooter games, essentially, and just looking at the stats on those over time. But I reckon that we're probably seeing at least a year-on-year, like probably 10-ish gig increase overall on
I'd 100% agree. Yeah.
on that, like
and
minimum.
maybe this comes back to another advantage of cloud gaming, Cap.
That's a really good point, actually, because, yeah, I mean, well, I suppose at the same time, like storage is fairly cheap. It's not ridiculously expensive. But I mean, if you want a 2 terabyte, like, you know, NVMe drive, it is quite a bit more expensive than the 1 gig variant, obviously, because it's double the space. But, you know, if you're building a brand new PC and you want a really nice drive that's going to run straight off an NVMe slot, it's going to cost you, unfortunately. But, you know, like Erich in the chat says, you know, disk space has kind of cheapened over the years, which is, what do they call that? Moore's law? Is that, you know, I guess the, you know, technology increase over the years. But yeah, regardless, a lot of freaking gigabytes. So make sure you wipe your hard drive a little bit, everyone at home.
Yeah.
Clean it up.
Defragment it. Yep.
Yeah.
Sort it out, you know?
Do people still do that? Defrag
I do. You know what, dude?
It's
It's built into I should know this, but it's built into the, like, Windows does it automatically now on a schedule.
is that right?
So you don't have to do it. Yeah. But also, dude, like back when we used to defragment our old hard drives, it would take like 7 or 8 hours to do your hard
dude,
drive.
I know. I used to do it overnight.
So now with SSDs, it's done in like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. But yeah, so yeah, 140 gigabytes on PC, 126 on consoles. So I mean, even for consoles, a lot of consoles are fairly, well, I mean, what's the standard PS5? I think it's 500 gigabytes for the standard PS5, but you can get 1 terabyte. Correct, PS5.
I think it's terabyte. I could be wrong. I wonder whether the
you bloody hope so. Sony PlayStation 5 it does come with a terabyte of storage, of which just over 800 gigs is actually available for storing games. And what about the Xbox Series X? So they've got the same thing. Yeah, 1 terabyte, and then the Xbox Series S is 512 gigabytes. So if you're running Starfield on your Series S, that's going to take up like just over a fifth of your effective hard drive space, which is mental.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yep.
So there you go. But it's interesting, Grizz, because now that the game is available for preloads, obviously with that, we have data mining that is sort of coming to fruition slowly. People are getting their hands on the actual files and I guess decrypting them to some degree. But one thing that I found quite interesting, Grizz, and I don't know how interesting you're going to find it, but maybe you can enlighten me to your opinions on this. But as far as I could tell, data miners haven't found anything to suggest that Starfield's going to be using DLSS or FSR. Now, for the I don't know, the people at home that have no idea what those terms mean, DLSS is I think it's deep learning super sampling or something like that, and then FSR is fidelity super resolution or some shit. What is it?
I also believe
super resolution. Yeah.
I think the LSS is an NVIDIA only thing.
Yes.
So
that's
looked up
NVIDIA versus AMD, just FYI.
It is. Yeah, I think so. I looked up a Reddit article on this. People were saying that a lot of games that are like AMD sponsored will have no DLSS support, and that
Yeah.
the performance might be a bit interesting out of the box here on a couple of older PCs running older NVIDIA graphics cards without that setting being
Yeah.
able to enable. So I don't know.
Yeah. So the way that these things work effectively, they're close into the way they work. It's kind of using AI and machine learning to kind of bridge the gap in frames between frame to frame to enable a better frame rate with kind of almost lower specs effectively, but also on the top of this, some of these things are only available to certain generations of cards. Like I'm pretty sure DLSS is actually only available to the 40 series from memory, but
Oh, right. Okay.
I did find it very interesting that these aren't, well, as far as we know, we don't know until the actual game releases properly, but that these aren't available because they are, I think, like a really important tool for, I don't know, just optimizing frame rate. And, it comes back to that, not argument, but news we found out that Starfield's going to be capped at 30 FPS on consoles. And it's just,
yeah.
well,
That's what
makes
they're
me wonder
saving
what's
the
going on.
performance there, Cap, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
And-
maybe what they do is they then drop the DLSS and FSR patch later on down the track.
Yeah.
Be like, don't worry, guys, we're fixing our game. So,
Well, I was kind of curious to know, Cap, whether Bethesda have announced going gold on other titles, or is this something they've done
oh no,
to try
no.
to give us? Have they done it before?
Yeah, I'm positive they've done this before, and I mean, lots of developers often kind of announce going gold because it's a bit of like a champagne bottle cork thing.
Yeah,
crack a few beers around the office because everyone's celebrating that the game's kind of ready to launch. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess my question, I know I'm jumping back a little bit here, but Bethesda releasing games that aren't very polished, but then announcing that the game's gold, ready to ship. How much confidence do you have, Cap, that this game is going
zero.
to be
Absolutely zero. I mean, there's probably going to be like a fucking day one 50 gigabyte patch or something stupid. I'm pretty positive there's going to be something along those lines. I hope not, because it'd be ridiculous. But I mean, there's no way this game runs to say the. And I mean, I'm just going to use it as a beautiful example of how a game should launch is Baldur's Gate 3. Like that game, I've probably run into maybe 2 bugs max, and they've been completely negligible. I think one of my favorite bugs yet is when I'm on an elevator and I open up the inventory screen, my character's like zooming through the fucking inventory screen because there's obviously some weird tie between the character in the game and the one that's shown in the inventory manager. But yeah, it's just silly things like that. But dude, this is a Bethesda game. I think we all know what to expect with Bethesda games, and
I wonder whether they've really tried to not release a game like that after what they copped for Cyberpunk. And
I don't know. I mean, Bethesda have the biggest reputation for releasing buggy games. Like it's the Bethesda bug collection.
Yeah,
like
they rely on people to mod them out.
Well, exactly right. Yeah. So I don't know if we know whether there's going to be full mod support for Starfield out of the gate, but I'd imagine they'll have it kind of close. But yeah, hooly dooly. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game kind of rock and rolls from, once it does release. But one thing to note, Grizz, and I saw floating around, is there are spoilers for the story of
really
Starfield.
Is this
floating
people
around.
playing the review copies and stuff, Cap? Or
well, I'm not entirely sure how they got it. It kind of seems just like maybe it might have been a leak, just like a general kind of leak. So just keep. It kind of sucks because I remember what was it that came out when Tears of the Kingdom released? There was a leak for that.
Someone had a whole version of the game on PC or something you could play before it was even released or something, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's amazing how many leaked kind of stories and games, or the stories of games, have occurred recently. In more recent times. Pretty sure Pokemon Scarlet and Violet had a leak as well.
Dude, do you remember Diablo 4 with the the developer packs or the friends and family beta or
that's
something.
right.
Like
Yeah, we had
someone was
major leaks
streaming it
there.
on Twitch or something. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's just crazy. I think one thing, and maybe a reasoning behind why we're seeing this more often, is I think development teams are bigger, and as development teams expand in size, so too does the surface area of potential leakage, effectively, because
Yeah.
you got more hands on it. So who knows how someone got their hands on this? I mean, Bethesda probably has thousands of developers that work on their titles and across their kind of video games. So who freaking knows? It could have even been just some rando just found the fucking source code on the freaking local Wi-Fi or some shit. You never know. Like, it could honestly be that stupid sometimes. But yeah. Anyways, keep an eye out if you are floating around and trying to avoid spoilers, because it's out there now. Grizz, one other thing I wanted to touch base on this with you is, and we did do a podcast, a poll. A cheeky poll. And I think
do a
now's
poll.
probably
Yep.
a better time than ever to talk about the one we did recently. Now, every weekend we do a poll just to kind of gauge, the public interest of just video games and a topic that we select that we're probably going to talk about in the episode for this week. Now, this week, obviously talking about Starfield off the bat, so I wanted to sort of get people's ideas on where they're going to spend their money or which storefront you're going to be buying Starfield on. Now, obviously, this game's not going to be available on PS5 because Bethesda is now owned by Xbox, so you won't be able to play this on PS5. Sorry, Sony fanboys, but you're going to have to find your Bethesda. Your Bethesda meal elsewhere. We wanted to know, where do you intend to play the game? And bonus points if you comment as to whether you'll be purchasing an edition of the game that allows early access, of which will be available 5 days extra. And we'll go through how you can go about getting that. But firstly, Grizz, we had Xbox Cloud Gaming, Xbox as in console, PC on the Windows storefront, or PC on the Steam storefront. Now, do you want to go through the results, my friend?
Yeah, mate. So we had zero. We actually had quite a few votes on this. So thank you very much if you did vote. And if you didn't vote and you would like to, you can find us on Twitter. So go and follow the socials there. So you can next time. But we had 0 votes, Cap, on Xbox Cloud Gaming. We had 29% of the vote to Xbox, 25% of the vote to Windows PC Game Pass, and then a whopping 45.2% on Steam. Cap, does the cloud gaming surprise you or not? Or is that because that sucks and no one uses it? Do you reckon?
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. I probably expected to maybe find 1 or 2 of these because, I mean, honestly, the idea of this game running at 30 FPS on Xbox consoles does not make me fucking too excited, in all honesty.
And I know we're going to get there, Cap, but not to mention the recommended specs to run this game on your PC are also quite high.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised whether people were trying to potentially try the cloud gaming route as well.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure because I vaguely remember that the cloud gaming is essentially built off stripped down Xbox Series X's, and that's what the games are running off essentially. So maybe they would be capped to 30 FPS. I'm not entirely sure. It would be super interesting to see what it looks like on Xbox Cloud Gaming, and I'll probably give it a crack on there just to see what it looks like. But man, I don't know if it surprised me a lot, but I thought maybe 1 or 2 votes might have dropped in there. But I mean, obviously not surprised that majority of people will be purchasing on Steam, and the rest kind of split between PC, Windows, and Xbox. So
quite a few Game Pass users there, though, Cap, isn't there? Couple.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, maybe we can talk about this now, Grizz, but kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. I mean, it's a single-player game. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's multiplayer. And the game, let me tell you how much this game is worth right now on Steam, my friend Grizz, because I looked at it the other day and I went, are you fucking joking me?
120. Is it?
$120
on
is it
Steam.
actually? Yeah,
Okay.
$119.95. And that's for the
mate.
base edition of the game, dude. That's honestly, that blows my mind.
Well, you kind of see that's the price of a full price PlayStation 5 game. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. It is
It's a lot
expensive,
of
but we've been waiting for this.
spondoolies.
It is a lot of spondoolies.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, like, okay, so talking about the fact that you can play this game early, the ways that you can play this game early, Grizz, they include the following, right? So you can either purchase a enhanced edition of the game. There's a few different editions. I think there's a base edition. And there's a premium and an absolute mad dog edition, which comes with a watch. If you buy the kind of non-base editions and you spend the extra cash, you're going to get 5 days early on any storefront. Now, if you want to play it early with the Game Pass version, you can purchase a digital upgrade pack that is $30, which is still cheaper than the fucking game itself on any other storefront. So that's via Game Pass. So you could have a Game Pass, active Game Pass subscription, purchase the digital deluxe thing for $30 and you will have access to the 5 days early content. So
are you going to be doing this, Cap? You're going to be playing the early content,
probably.
Man?
I think I'd like to get in early because I'd like to talk about it. Well, hang on, what's the date today? So it will be. It goes live on is it the 2nd of September? I'm going to have to double check Starfield release. 6th of September, which is not next week, but the week after. So theoretically, you should be able to play on like the 1st, which will be a Friday. So
dude, I bought Remnant 2 Deluxe and I didn't touch it before the allotted pre-time.
Yeah. I can still perceive myself playing it before playing Starfield before the release date.
What about Baldur's Gate, Cap? What about Baldur's Gate, mate?
Yeah, we'll see how we're going, but I reckon I might be close to finishing depending on how long Act 3 is. So
yeah, okay.
I don't know. Right. We'll see. But yeah, so there's obviously different ways that you can get the early access. But now going back to the cost of the digital premium edition on Steam, if you want to play 5 days early, it's going to cost you 170 Australian dollars.
Oh my god, dude!
That is
some other stuff as well.
Ridiculous.
They give you some shit,
dude. Like. Okay, let's go through the edition. Where are we? The digital premium edition comes with a story expansion, a constellation skin pack, and access to digital extras, which is a soundtrack and a art book, of which you will listen to the soundtrack in game anyway. So it's a fucking waste of your money. So yeah,
right,
dude, it's actually out of control.
I wonder whether people are buying this shit. Surely,
absolutely, they are. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right.
And then there is another. So if you pre-order, you get a laser cutter and a deep mining helmet pack. But yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's honestly crazy.
It is literally a full day of my wages. Yeah, look, fuck.
Yeah,
they're coming to get us, mate.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I suppose think about how you want to go ahead and play this game. I mean, again, if you play on Game Pass, you will get the game for free. You'll be able to play that there for free. If you want to play it early, your cheapest way to do so will be by purchasing the digital upgrade pack on the Xbox Game Pass kind of thing.
So you said that you were going to potentially buy it, Cap. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to 100%. This is like Cyberpunk all over again, mate. I fucking waited, and I was glad I waited. So
well, here's the thing, Grizz. I don't know if you're aware, but we're on a gaming podcast where we talk about video games, and so I'm hoping to talk about this video game on the video game podcast
this is
run.
Perfect. That's why I've got you, Cap, to do that, and I can just talk about all the other people whinging about how shit it is when it comes out.
Exactly. So I'm going to take one for the team, Grizz, and play this Bethesda video game and see how bug it is. But yeah, so keep your ear to the ground here. But yeah, so there you go. Now, Grizz, we also had a little Q&A recently from Bethesda Game Studios regarding Starfield, and obviously its impending release. This was on the 16th, so it was last week on Wednesday-ish. So fairly fresh information. So one question that they were asked was whether people can buy houses or property in main cities, to which
Yeah.
they answered yes, you can. There'll be dwellings
Cool
to
with that.
purchase, which is pretty cool. So, and
They
they
did
did
this
say,
over Discord or something, Cap, didn't they? Some real random people like posted
yeah,
questions in there. And
yeah, they kind of did a really random Discord Q&A, which, I mean, sounds random, but also I think a lot of businesses are really pushing to get really strong Discord communities cranking because,
it's good.
you know, it's a real easy echo chamber of people that enjoy your game, and you know they're probably only going to join the Discord if they really want to be a part of it. So, whereas places like Twitter and stuff like that, it's really easy to kind of share a lot of toxic kind of shit. And I don't know, that's kind of the way I've perceived it. So I think a lot of businesses like to foster a nice little Discord community because they can kind of, get straight to the community or their community, and it's generally fairly positive, but easy to moderate and all that kind of shit. So yeah. Now, the next thing that they talked about, Grizz, was, now I'm going to say the question verbatim because I think it's important for context. If we get the kids stuff trait, will our parents be generated based on our character's look, or are there standard parents in place? What benefits might there be? So if you heard that, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? There is a trait you can pick up called kids stuff. And one of the things of that trait is you get parents in the game.
Cool.
Which is just fucking random. But, and it seems like the way this works is, so your parents will be based off the look of your character. So they will reverse engineer your parents based off how you create your character, which is kind of cool. I think that's really rad. So, obviously...
Did they do this in a Fallout game? Similar, Cap? Something like
that? I don't know. I can't remember whether Fallout... Was there something to do with... No, hang on. I remember that Fallout 3, you were literally a baby at one stage during the tutorial learning how to go through the game. I don't remember there being like your the way that you generate your face and all that kind of stuff kind of impacted the look of your dad or whatever in the game, but maybe there was some degree of that. But this sounds like it's quite in depth, and it's actually taken up quite a significant amount of developer hours in reverse engineering your parents based off what you create your character to look like, which, I mean, we've seen how people make characters in games like Elden Ring and stuff like that, and it's just like horrific monstrosities of characters that people have made. People with like all kinds of weird blue skin and just fucking, looking like Smurfs and just like Shrek fucking recreations. So I'm very interested to see how the game handles, people creating Shrek in I was going to say Fallout 5, Starfield. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So pretty keen for that one.
Cool.
Now they went, how deep should we go into creating our character's backstory before we start the game? And so, look, basically what they said is it was fairly, in my opinion, kind of vague. But basically what they said was, it's kind of just headcanon. You're going to have like structured stuff, and if you want to have a backstory, then that's up to you, kind of thing.
It's like, while we do start you off in the same spot, what happened to you before the game starts is totally up to you and your headcanon. It's like, okay. Right. It's like writing a D&D backstory for your character,
So pretty cool. But yeah, look, there's a lot of questions in here, Grizz. I think, I don't know, how deep do you want to go into this? I mean,
maybe we can just pick a couple of interesting ones. I mean, here's one that I thought was interesting. Will there be jail systems if we commit crimes?
To which they acknowledged absolutely. Looks like
real time, 4 hours real time in jail, doing nothing but eating bread. Not really. I think it's just fine. I think it's just fines and stuff.
That would be a great addition to the game, I reckon. So
it's like low priority for Dota, kind of.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. So they also talk about things like whether you can be a double agent, which kind of, comes down to the actual story. Again, that was fairly vague there.
What about the pacifist mode one, Cap? That's probably a reasonably interesting one to talk about.
A great idea.
someone basically asked the question: Is will it be possible to play through the game in pacifist mode, i.e., without killing anyone or anything really? The answer from the devs was, "Well, we're not sure, but we don't think so." Pretty much was their was their response. We didn't design the game for that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
wonder if Baldur's Gate can be played pacifist mode.
I wonder. I feel like you could talk your way out of it, everything. Maybe some of the. Oh, I don't know, man. Maybe there's an achievement tied to that, Capo.
Yeah, you could be right. Yeah.
I've
Anyways.
still managed to remain pretty spoiler free so far.
Oh, mate, well done. Yeah, I mean, I have for the most part as well, but yeah, look, there is a huge Q&A if you're super interested in kind of getting in the real nitty gritty here. They talk about things like how many companions you'll be able to recruit as well. It seems like there's about 20 named sort of crew members that you'll be able to find through the constellation, of which I'm assuming they're going to be in your major cities and stuff. Because isn't there like 1,000 planets or something ridiculous? How are you going to find 20 people in 1,000 planets?
What I also thought was interesting, Cap, was that the companions don't level up with you. So the crew starts with skills and specific ranks, and then they don't kind of level up with you as you go. I think you can equip stuff on them, but they have the skills that they have at that time.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I think I am looking forward to this game overall, Grizz. I think my my expectations are fairly low for it because I feel like ever since I've played Baldur's Gate, I just will never be able to look at another video game in the same light. But yeah. So, anyways, that's your big Starfield dump to a fortnight out from release. So, get freaking excited. It's not too far away at all, mate. So, there you go. Now, Grizz, I know we've kind of been calling it earlier, saying that Baldur's Gate 3 might be the game of the year, but I think I might have found the game of the year potentially.
Yes, if you are on the Twitch stream, you get the
added bonus of
seeing seeing what this
video.
game is before we speak about it.
So I came across this on Reddit the other day, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Cap, there has been memes leading up to this for years about these beans, right?
Yeah.
Like people may have seen the memes. Like, where does this actually come from? Where does it originate from, mate?
So it originates from a okay. So the game itself is called Killer Bean, and you are literally a anthropomorphological coffee bean that does gun fu and shit, and is like a special agent and is fighting other coffee beans. So
it's kind of like if you played Hitman. I kind of feel like it looks a lot like that, where you can slow down time and like dodge and
just nowhere near as in depth, but it's just I don't know. We'll get to the actual game trailer in a second, but this game is based on two web shorts that appeared online in 1996 and 2000. So Killer Bean, The Interrogation was 1996, and Killer Bean 2, The Party was in 2000. And then they made a movie for Killer Bean in 2008, which was called Killer Bean Forever, and it is shocking. I watched a little clip of it the other day, and it is just poorly voice acted. The animation is fairly serviceable, but just like the texturing and stuff is just bizarre. But anyway, so it's kind of hard to believe that they've decided to make a full game. And it's also really hard to believe that the trailer for the game actually doesn't look that bad.
And the premise of the game is actually sounds pretty amazing, Cap. It is a first person / third person open world roguelite shooter.
Yes.
Which sounds pretty interesting to me. So we're talking procedurally generated environments and enemies, and I presume weapon drops in kind of like a run by run, upgrade your character, play through, die, run through again, the old roguelite progression, which sounds pretty interesting, mate. So,
yeah, well, they kind of angle it towards like the idea of, you know, no one playthrough will be the exact same because all the missions are procedurally generated as well as the story, and the plot twists are also procedurally generated, which just kind of seems really mind blowing. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. But I mean, you know, looking in the what do you call it, the YouTube trailer that we've got cranking at the moment, it is just this bean character that is kind of like plasticine kind of I don't know. The characters are plasticine, I guess, but like the world around them is like very real, fairly realistic.
It's really nice, dude.
But
It almost reminds you of Far Cry a little bit. Some of the
actually, that's a really good. That's a good comparison, actually. And there's a lot of Far Cry-esque kind of I don't know gameplay to it as well. But then they mix in a lot of that gun fu slow down stuff, which actually, again, it's kind of impressive for a game that should be completely forgettable. It's kind of seems to be coming together fairly well. So it is available for wishlist on Steam. Go and check it out. It's literally just called Killer Bean. So I've wishlisted it because I just want to see what happens with it because it looks absolutely bonkers.
I wonder whether it will rate higher than Blizzard titles this year, Cap. I bet it will.
I bet it'll rate higher than Overwatch, that's for sure. But yeah, now developers of Killer Bean, if you're listening, Grizzly Gaming and 86 and Cat and Perth would like to
review codes.
Review codes, please. Thank you.
I'll clip this and I'll send it through to them, mate. Get onto it, eh?
Absolutely.
Couple of killer beans right here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to kill some beans for sure. But yeah, so I just had to bring this up because it was just absolutely crazy. But yeah, anyways, now Grizz from Software, the legends, the ones and only Miyazaki and the boys out there making a bit of Armored Core. Yep. Well, Miyazaki's not technically, but now they've come out with the computer specs. Grizzly Gaming 86 specifications for what do we call it? Freaking Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. Now, you are going to, by minimum, as absolute minimum, you're going to need Windows 10. So sorry, Pixel 9 Tails, you won't be able to play this game on your Windows ME computer anymore. I'm sorry, mate. It's not happening anymore. All right, you're gonna have to upgrade. You're going to require a Core i5 at a minimum, or a Ryzen 5. So a Core i5 8 series or a Ryzen 5 2600 series. So if you're listening at home and you know what those numbers mean, I hope your bloody processor's ready to go. Now,
12 gigs of RAM though, mate, which is
that a random number?
I mean, I guess so, because usually it's either 8.
Isn't it normally 8 gigs? 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. I feel like 12 is very random. Can you find 6?
I also feel like 12 gigs of RAM is quite high, right?
Yeah, but in saying that, I kind of feel like these days 16 gigs is absolute minimum for a lot of shit. Kind of just in general, you kind of really want 16 gigs of RAM. Gone are the days where 8 gig was, get you by, but it kind of comes down to that whole I don't know, the whole what do you call it thing we're talking about with hard drives and the size of video games getting bigger and bigger. The stuff that you're putting into RAM is also getting bigger and bigger because you're putting things like textures and shit that you're using on the fly into the RAM and then obviously being streamed straight through. So I guess ultimately the RAM has to increase over time as well. So spew. Just sucks to be you if you haven't got 12 gigs of RAM.
What about the hard disk capacity cap? It says 70 gig, 60 gig or more. So
I think the or more is an interesting thing to say because it's like, well, is it 60 gig or is it more than 60 gig? Can you please tell me the correct answer?
I'd be surprised if this game was not more than 60 gig. I mean,
dude, I would have thought this game would be about 90-ish. Surely. I would have thought it'd be about 90. Well, I can't quite remember how big the install size for Elden Ring was, but I would have thought it would be comparable. Actually, I tell you what, Elden Ring, according to this, Elden Ring takes up just under 45 gigs on PS5 and Xbox is 49. PC takes the file storage cake with 60 gig requirements. So there you go.
Dude, I've only got 16 gig of RAM. Far out.
Oh, dude. You're thinking about a new PC soon, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah. So you're getting there. But yeah, so that's your memory. Now, GPU, Grizz, the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650. Now, the 1650, I'm not too familiar with that card.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be a, what do you call it? Is that a, I thought that was a laptop
so.
one.
I don't think you can get them for desktop as well. It's kind of like a weird generation of them. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Bizarre. So, I mean, that's your minimum spec for Nvidia's, whereas your Radeon cards will be the RX 480 4 gigs. Now, if you want ray tracing set it up, you're going to have a 2060 Nvidia, or if you want a Radeon, it's going to be a 6600. So,
dang,
there you go. So that's your minimum requirements, and then obviously your recommendeds are bit more than that. So,
yep.
But gives you a bit of a rough idea of what you're going to be expected to have on PC. Obviously, this game's going to run, fairly well natively on your consoles. But yeah, there you go. Pretty interesting. Now, other thing that kind of came to the light of day, Grizz, was the fact that we know for sure now that the Armored Core 6 game is going to be using the same engine as Elden Ring. And funnily enough, I didn't know this to be true, but Sekiro is using the same engine.
It's interesting. So I know the Elden Ring engine itself, a lot of the speedrunners were able to glitch things by changing frame rates and doing bits and pieces. I wonder whether that kind of stuff would be fixed for this, or whether they've thought about that in the development team.
It's a good question. I'm sure that maybe there might be some development considerations to avoid maybe some of that stuff. But mate, the speedrunners are a different breed. They will find
that is very true.
They will find ways to fuck your game up. Don't you worry about that. And in ways you didn't even think possible. So yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that they will find ways to
Elden Ring
this
engine
game
is
wide
good.
up.
So, Cap, I think that's good. Sounds good.
Yeah, the Elden Ring engine's great. Yeah, the solid engine. So, but just interesting to know that they didn't kind of recreate the wheel, I guess, for this, and they're pretty happy with that engine, obviously, so they're sticking with it. So, very cool. But yeah, anyways, that is the quest log, Grizz. Congratulations. You've get all your XP.
World record pace, Cap. Very nice.
World record pace, my friend, indeed.
Nailed it.
So there you bloody go. Now, obviously, we've already done the poll, so we're just going to dive straight in, Grizz, and I want to know how your gaming is going. Now, I was going to ask you first, but I actually might quickly usurp and just kind of go through a couple of things that I played this week before we go into the big Baldur's Gate
do
deep
you
dive.
First, Cap. Yeah, do you first, mate. Go.
Now, one thing I did do this week, Grizz, was I got an ad on probably Facebook or some shit saying, hey, do you want to try out Warcraft Rumble? And I was like, what the fuck is Warcraft Rumble? And then I remembered it's that fucking little weird Clash of Clans remake game. And I was like, okay.
Oh, dude, I think I got one of those as well. What was it like? Was it good?
It was just a mobile game, in my opinion. It was, the gameplay mechanics, I guess, if you can call them that, were incredibly kind of slim. The whole kind of game is built around you having these minis that you play in like a lane kind of combat. So you'll see on the screen if you're watching at home. Otherwise, if you're not, I'll kind of explain it. But the game is structured as there's sort of two players either side of one another, and there's two or more lanes between those two characters. And you are placing minis in each of those lanes, and they slowly walk towards the other character, and they will kind of fight other characters that appear in those lanes that they encounter, or the character's home base, which, if your home base reaches 0 hit points, you lose, and that's it. So all of the different minis have different sort of skills. They're either melee or they're ranged, or, they attack range kind of creeps better than others, or, there's kind of this interaction between different minis and what they are better at.
And the art style looks really cool. I like that.
Yeah, the art style is actually quite nice. It's definitely got that Clash of Clans plasticine thing that we got talked about earlier. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But
Dota 3. Yeah. I saw Pudge actually. Pudge
did you?
took someone. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Excellent.
Hmm.
But yeah, so there's a few bits and pieces in there, like there's little gold things that you can collect that you send kobolds in to go and farm gold for you to sort of accelerate the amount of units you're putting out. You can also, depending on the map that you're playing on, you can get these little sort of midway zones that you can use to put characters sort of deeper into the lane, which will push them further along. So there's ways to kind of accelerate you getting to sort of defeating the enemy boss heart or whatever it is. If you play, there's PvP and PvE. The PvE stuff, it's kind of all these different maps that you go through, and it's different bosses that you're fighting, and those bosses have different kind of cliches or gimmicks. One that I fought had like these special bombs that it would chuck down, and another one had all these spiderlings that it would chuck out. But ultimately,
my biggest question is: there pay to win?
I didn't get a good look at how the monetization really worked, in all honesty.
Right.
And I think the pay to win might mostly be buying the minis, less so making them stronger. But I might get back to you on that next week. I also think there might be an energy kind of thing going on as well. So you get a certain amount of energy to kind of spend on things. And once the energy runs out, you can't play until your energy respawns the next day. I think that was how it worked. I might have to get back to you on that one as well. But ultimately, the game is pretty brain dead. It's I think that's probably the best way to put it. Like, you have two lanes, and there's a flying character. I'll put the anti-flying unit down in that zone. There's a melee character. I'll put the flying unit in that zone so he can't attack the flying character. And it's just fucking pretty straightforward. There might be a bit more nuance further down the line, but what I did play, I was just like, there's not much going on here.
How many Captain Perths, Cap? As a whole made so far?
2.5 out of 5 Captain Perths, maybe, so far. Right. It's I mean, I'm sure that it's just such a typical mobile game. You know what I mean? It's just it's pretty fucking average. So it's just a mobile game. I think there's some interesting things going on with some of the bosses, but ultimately, I think, again, it's because it is a mobile game, it's targeted at literally anyone who has a fucking mobile phone, which could be your granddad, or it could be, freaking Faker from lead esports gamer. So, literally that's the scope they're working with. And so, I don't know. It's just, it wasn't particularly compelling in my opinion, but yeah, if it at all interests you at home, maybe go and give it a crack. But yeah, there you freaking go. Now, the other thing I want to talk about just briefly, Grizz, was the fact that Blasphemous 2 is coming out like freaking, next week or some shit, I think?
Honest, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what is this, Cap? What would you say this game is if you haven't heard of it?
All right. So Blasphemous 1 was a side-scrolling Metroidvania set in this kind of like pseudo hyper-religious take on kind of like I think it was based on Spanish kind of religious iconography and stuff. So it's just highly freaking religiously kind of looking 2D scroller.
Is it pretty true to some of the like actual law religion and stuff, Cap? Like, as in
I think
history?
They definitely borrow fairly heavily for a lot of it. Like, for example, the main character wears this long pointed hat, and that's a thing that priests or whatever in Spain would wear. Like, but there's a lot of kind of like metaphorical shit, like a lot of the classic kind of tropes of, sacrifice and, self-flagellation and all that kind of shit being kind of explored in this game. And, popes and all that kind of shit, like, and a lot of like holy relics and incense
you can see them like what do they call? Yeah, the incense burners and stuff, and they use them as
Yeah,
flails and whatnot. You know.
yeah, just a lot of like just nods to religious kind of bits and pieces and cultural things, but it takes a very gory kind of I don't
Mm.
know, grim kind of approach to all that, and the story's very kind of soulsy in the sense that you kind of are getting very piecemeal kind of bits and pieces of what's happening in the wider world and why your characters kind of been awakened and what's going on in the world and what happened, and there's this miracle that happened, and why did the miracle happen, and was it good or was it bad, and so you're kind of figuring that out. I didn't finish the game. I got pretty damn close, but another game probably came out. But Blasphemous 2 has recently been announced, and looks like they're kind of going down the same route, but this time looks like they're kind of going a bit harder in the Metroidvania kind of aspect of everything. Looks like they're leaning really hard into the platforming, and they really want to kind of, give you a bit more options in terms of your weapons and whatnot. So in the first game, you had access to one particular weapon and you could empower it and stuff like that. But in Blasphemous 2, you're going to have access to a bunch of different weapons, which will give you kind of, different bits and pieces. So there's a bloke breastfeeding a baby in this particular
what the fuck,
trailer.
man?
So that might give you an idea of what is going on. Yeah, you're going to be playing the Penitent one, and yeah, you're going to have access to a shitload of new weapons, which I think the weapons kind of control how you access certain areas and also how you move through the world and stuff. So they'll give you kind of traversability options as well, which looks really cool. And it seems to be what do you call it? Seems to be reviewing quite well as well, Grizz, so far.
What did you think? Would you compare this to Salt and Sanctuary, Cap, or a bit different? You reckon?
Yeah, it's pretty close to Salt and Sanctuary, kind of close in the Hollow Knight kind of category of Metroidvania, fairly difficult side-scrolling platforming kind of side scrollers, but it has bosses, and those bosses tend to be quite difficult. And again, same with Hollow Knight, so might be a good one for people to give a crack whilst they're waiting for Silk Song Hollow Knight. Silk Song.
I'm actually thinking of giving this a crack myself, mate.
Did you play the first one, Grizz?
No, I watched you play it on stream. It looks good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's up my alley. Just,
yeah.
Seems all right.
Well, I don't think you'll be missing out too much if you don't play the first one. It kind of seems like, it's kind of like Dark Souls. You don't really need to play the other ones to kind of get an idea of what's going on. I think in terms of story, maybe there might be some linkages, but for the most part, I think you'll be fairly okay with
I'm loving the different
giving it a crack.
weapons we've seen so far. Some really cool ones. You see some dual-wielded swords and some big heavy maces and other bits and pieces.
Which looks cool. So having different move sets, I think, is going to really kind of just help with the way that you approach the game, and finding a play style that you prefer rather than being locked into a single kind of attack pattern, all that kind of stuff. So looks really good. Looks really interesting. So yeah, I think it actually comes out on the 23rd, which is on Wednesday for us. So not too far away. I'll probably chuck that on my Steam Deck, I reckon, and
I might
play a
give
bit
this a go as well.
Blasphemous. So in between a bit of Baldur's Gate 3. So there you go. But yeah, other than that, Grizz, been playing a heap of Baldur's Gate, which I might let you open with that. How's your Baldur's Gate playthrough going?
Look, I have to admit, Cap, I have stopped playing my single player altogether. And I'm now playing through a new campaign with Curdy and an old school friend. His name's Belly. We've had one stream of that, and we've had another session last night. And I think that'll be the way that I play through the rest of the game. Will be in a co-op kind of fashion. But yeah, so I started a new character, mate, and I've actually started a monk. Giving that a go.
How's the monk going?
Well,
how do you feel?
I'm using a pretty interesting build, mate. I'm using an unarmed monk, and I'm putting points into rogue. And the idea is that you get tavern brawler feat, which you actually end up being a strength monk rather than a dexterity monk.
So does he use his feat or something?
So what the feat does is it uses your strength modifier. You get 2 times your strength modifier as guaranteed damage for each unarmed strike you do. And then
Right.
because you pick up Thief, you get a bunch of bonus actions. So you basically just get to punch people a lot.
That's cool.
And you're applying a lot of your strength mod. So it's pretty
Right.
cool. You're very mobile. Like monks are very mobile, so you can kind of get around a lot. And
Yeah, which I think
'cause
early on in the game is really important because getting into the fray as a melee character it can be quite difficult. At least I found. But
yeah,
I was meaning as in,
absolutely.
do they physically use their feet? Because you said they were
Oh
unarmed.
yeah, he
so do they
does. He
just use
does.
their
He does
feet?
kick people. He does kick people and
All
stuff.
right.
Yeah, he does use his feet.
I was making
Yeah,
a really
yeah.
poor dad joke, but I think it fell on deaf ears.
Sorry, man. I am so slow right now. My brain is only just ticking over cap. So we're hanging in there. But no, man, it's been great. And you know what? I will say the co-op experience so far, I'm actually enjoying that more as a playthrough. The way
Oh,
they've
that's
done it
cool.
is so fucking cool, dude. Because so I'm playing the Dark Urge cap, and
Oh, cool. Nice.
the option is there to hide your private dialogue and private things away from the other players.
Yeah.
And you spoke about something that happened to you where you ended up killing this girl in your camp. Well, that happened to me, and I hid the dialogue, and then I managed to successfully hide the body, and there was just a big pool of blood on the floor. And you can see how if you're playing
That's
with other
cool.
people, you can kind of develop the story, but you're on these kind of separate pathways as you're playing
Yeah.
through. And I'm sure it will all come out in the end around what's happening, but yeah, it just reminds me so much of D&D and having your own backstory that, you kind of hide from everyone else that you're playing with, but that will come out in time. Actually, it really gives me a real good sense that that is exactly what Baldur's Gate 3 is doing in a co-op kind of perspective. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think they're definitely doing like probably the greatest job that I've ever encountered of providing a gamified, well, obviously D&D is a game, but a digitally gamified version of D&D and
Yeah.
the D&D campaign.
The other thing that I've
It's
really noticed
impressive.
as well, that is testament to them is like I found in Divinity 3 or all the Divinity games when you're playing co-op, you would always be waiting for the other people to take their turns for you
Yeah.
to go. But if you roll the same initiative, you can take your turns at the same time.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and that's really cool. But sometimes it is important, obviously, to say, "Oh, I'm gonna debuff this guy," or "I'm gonna go for the left one," or whatever it is. But it just means that the combat happens so much quicker, and it kind of comes back to your turn a lot quicker because people do share their initiatives quite often through the combat. So
Yeah.
I found that pretty cool as well. Like
Yeah.
we've nearly worked up to where I was on my single player campaign. We've only done 2 sessions between us, and I'm looking forward to getting into the content that I haven't seen yet. But man, it also opened my eyes to how much stuff I missed that other people found as well, like heaps
Yeah.
of stuff. So
Oh,
yeah,
there is an insane amount of content there, and I'm wondering how much I've kind of missed. I'm being fairly completionist about it, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, Grizz, I just can't believe how much variability in the game there is story wise, and to do with player choice though is what I mean. Is people are calling this a sandbox game, but it's not quite a sandbox game because people are like, I've had mates have been like, oh, I heard Baldur's Gate's really good. It's like apparently you can do anything in that game. It's like, well, not really. Like it's not a sandbox. It's like a narrative sandbox, right? Where
Yeah.
your experience of the game is sandboxed in the way that you approach the dialogue trees and the way that your character navigates through the world and what actions they take. But you have so many different types of ways that you can approach dialogue and characters and actions and events in the game that it just
Oh,
leads to
yeah.
just an absolute fucking insane amount of different possibilities that
Yeah, absolutely.
I just can't even imagine how they even mapped this out. It is a triumph in its own.
It's a
like,
all three. There's 3 of us playing, and all 3 of us, as we're talking through what we did in these scenarios when we came across them, all had different ways that we solved these problems pretty much the whole way through. So yeah, it is
Yeah.
crazy. There's so many ways to skin a cat in the game. It's nice, and we're kind of playing it. I guess I don't know. We're not trying to. Whoever's doing the talking at the time will make the decision on which way the party goes, and we're kind of talking about what we would like to do, and that's been fun as well.
Yep.
So we've taken a completely different route on how we all played through the druid encampment for the first time. So yeah, nice to see what happens there. But yeah, just a
Yeah.
testament to them to weave in all those little plots into each other and make an
That's the
individual
thing.
experience for everyone. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's actually nuts just how many branching pathways there are. And as I'm going along through the world, I'm just like, holy shit, like that is such a huge potential for change in this story, which would have such a big knock-on effect with all this other stuff. And I keep thinking that almost every time I have a new NPC interaction, it's absolutely fucking crazy.
Mm.
Like I said, this is honestly this video game. If you appreciate it for anything, purely just for the fact that someone was able to effectively create an experience with so much potential player choice and have those meaningful choices actually resonate into a coherent storyline that has so much variability is honestly fucking mind-boggling.
Nuts,
I don't
isn't
even
it?
know how you'd manage a project of this size, but they've done it. It's
I wonder
honestly
whether they must have had
crazy.
like some kind of app or how do they do it? Like, mind
Ah.
maps are one thing, Cap, but surely it has
I
to
mean,
be.
this is, I think, like the team that Larian's put together is just probably like just a bunch of absolute freaks like that
Yeah.
have just managed to just, like the fucking planets have aligned. Honestly, it's again, I just can't believe the amount of choice there is and how actively those choices significantly affect the plot of the game that you're playing. Like
Mhm.
I'm having certain things happen and I'm trying to be fairly vague, but certain things that have happened recently in my playthrough and like on the level of like I'm interacting with gods and those interactions are just what could potentially happen either way with those interactions is crazy. I did save scum something because I took a particular dialogue option recently, and the god was like, "All right, no worries. Well, I'll just kill you," and my team all instantly died, and the game was over.
What?
Yes,
No.
serious. And I was like,
Jeez.
okay, so I guess I just can't pick that dialogue option. So,
Like one of those adventure books back in the day that you try to
yeah,
get
it's
to
like
the end and
you died. Literally, you died. That was it. I couldn't progress the game any further based on my choices at that stage, which
God.
I thought was just hilarious. But there's so many fun things that have happened in my playthrough, recently, and some of it is like the combat driven by the combat as well, because whilst it is tactical and turn based, there's a lot of variability in the way that those turns can kind of, take place. And there is random aspects to it with dice rolls and even just the AI deciding what it wants to do in those battles. I remember one particular fight I got into, I was in a dialogue and then it sort of eventuated into a fight. And then literally immediately, two of my people were like just thrown into lava and instantly died. And I was just like, fucking, are you serious? This is
Yeah, lava's
ridiculous.
no joke in D&D
Oh,
5e. It fucks you up.
dude, it's ridiculous. So I don't know. There's just so much fun to be had in this game, and I think there's kind of something for everyone, and even just down to the way that the romancing happens in this game. It's just kind of wild, like where you can go with it and what can happen. I had like Gale try and like freaking pull one on me, and I was like, mate, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Shadowheart is my babe. Okay, step back, pal. And he's like, but I made this Aurora Borealis for you. And I was like, I just don't care, Gale. I'm sorry. I just couldn't give a shit. So yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it's again, like I said it last week, this is definitely one of those games that I think will be remembered as a turning point and a mark on the gaming map of all time. And yeah, it's just if you're not playing it and you're kind of umming and ahhing about it, you just got to give it a crack, because I just don't think you'll ever play another game like it. We'll probably never see another video game of this quality. Maybe if Larian put out another one, but it's just hard to even imagine how you
Do
would
it
even
again.
do it,
Surely.
you know? I'm
Yeah.
sure that Larry could put out another one, but I mean, if you think about the quality of this versus Divinity 2, even like it trumps Divinity 2 in so many areas.
It does.
You know,
And Divinity 2 was pretty freaking good too. Actually, kind of makes me want to go back and give it another tickle. I
Yeah.
feel like it. Yeah, I don't know. It was great, but Baldur's Gate 3 is better.
Absolutely.
100%.
So yeah, I mean, maybe once you've, I don't want to get too deep into spoiler territory or talk too much about stuff, but I
Yeah.
mean, what's your party look like, Grizz? Like, what are you guys
So
sort of
in the co-op playthrough, so we've got me, which is a monk. Curdy is I think he's going to go rogue ranger. He's got rangers picked up a thing. So that's the DPS classes. We got actually we got an interesting. Dude, it's funny. We got a paladin, right? Who was I think he started out as like a normal paladin, but the very first combat we got into, he broke his oath. So he's an oath breaker paladin now.
Yep. How does the oath breaking look?
Dude,
how does that work?
Fucking cool, dude. Like, so he didn't realize that he had like a pact or whatever it was, and then we went and fought some guys at the start of the game, and then a NPC rocks up in your town, kind of thing, in your hub, and basically says, "Yeah, you've broken your oath," and it changes your skills and everything, and you can repent and kind of go back, but I believe it costs a bunch of money and heaps of stuff, but yeah, there is a full storyline just for that particular class. Pretty cool.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. I think even like that's another thing that is weaving in there is the way that your class choice interacts with the storyline as well is really impressive. I've
and
had a lot
race
of
as well. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like as a drow, there's been a lot of times where that has played into dialogue options that have been really interesting, like meeting other drow or meeting races that tend to be subservient to the drow, which I kind of spoke about last week. But even just being a warlock and what that means for the interactions that you're having with other bits and pieces happening in the world. Like a lot of times, if I sort of meet some kind of weird, bizarre creature or monster, or someone's being possessed or something, as a warlock, I tend to have some kind of extra dialogue option, which has been fucking awesome, frankly, because it gives you a lot of insight into what's happening. And I mean, some of the stuff that happens in Act 2 is pretty crazy, and having those dialogue options has been awesome. So it's pretty fun, and I think I'd love to do a bard playthrough or something to see where that kind of takes you as well. But yeah, there's just so much fun stuff you can do in that freaking video game, man. It's actually out of control. My team currently is myself as a level 8 warlock. I've got Shadowheart as a level 8 cleric, and then I've got Asterion as a level 5 rogue, level 3 ranger, and then I've got Karlak as a level 5 barbarian, level 3 paladin. And I must say the barbarian paladin build is fucking
pretty good.
Stupid strong. It is out of control.
Yeah.
The amount of damage coming out of Karlak is just ridiculous. And she's got like 90 hit points. It's just freaking stupid. I've had so many close calls where Karlak's just run around, smacked everything to death, and I've been like, sweet, awesome. Thank God you're alive.
Worries. Easy game. What about your Starion? What rogue subclass did you go, Kat?
So I went the which one did I go? I went the assassin.
The assassin, that's right.
Yeah. So I do a lot of crit damage, and I do it very often. And I mostly use Asterion as a ranger anyway, and so that's why I built into ranger. So when I hit level 5 ranger, I'll be doing 2 ranged attacks, which is going to be just ridiculous. Absolutely bullshit OP.
Some ranged feats? Did you get crossbow expert or anything like that?
Yes, foot crossbow expert from memory, which is again just honestly, Asterion also pumps out an insane amount of damage. So it's Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I'm really enjoying the sort of theory crafting of setting up my team party.
It's cool,
Normally,
Yeah.
it is, because normally in other games where I've had to manage multiple characters, I've just kind of always been like, oh, God's sakes, there's going to be one character.
You just want to have your own character, don't you?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they play
Whereas
such a
this game, like, oh,
pivotal
man.
they play such a pivotal part of your combat every time. You know, you need utility and having
Yeah,
someone to heal, and like I think it really plays out that you
yeah.
invest in your progression of them all.
It's kind of
Cool.
the perfect blend of, like, it's also not super overbearing with the amount of information you have to get through to figure out what you want to do with those characters either.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm just very pleasantly surprised that I'm playing a video game that sees me managing multiple characters, and I'm actually not too mad about it, because traditionally I've just not had time for that. I've not really enjoyed it. So yeah, ultimately, Grizz, Baldur's Gate 3, fucking excellent video game.
Yep.
So there you go.
Game
We'll
of the
keep talking
year,
about
just
it each
behind
week. Probably.
Potato, and then in
Yeah,
comes
very close second.
Yeah, very close, very
Yeah.
close. Then probably Killer Bean somewhere behind there as well, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely Killer Bean's going to be in there for sure. But yeah, so there you go. Now, Grizz,
Yes,
it's
mate.
time.
Rapid Fire News, brought to you by
DJ Francesco. It's in the game.
It's in the freaking game, baby. Big thanks to DJ Francesco for another week of rapid fire news, you legend. Starting with the Xbox 360 store will be closing down in July 2024. But don't
Ooh.
worry, your purchased video games will be available on the Xbox Series X and S storefronts if you want to download them. So there you go.
Carsey's like, no, you're gonna lose all your shit, mate. Unlucky.
Yep. So we're going.
Coming to Xbox Game Pass, available today. Everspace 2. Firewatch is coming August 17th.
Which is out now, technically.
Is it? Oh yeah, I never played that. Looks cool though.
Yep.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming August 18th. That's been very popular on Twitch. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Looks fun. And then later in the month, Cap, August 29th, we get Sea of Stars coming. Cool.
Dude, Sea of Stars. So we've got Blasphemous on Wednesday and then Sea of Stars the following Tuesday. That's
Jeez.
cray.
It is crazy.
Video games, lots of them. Very cool, Grizz. Also, Firewatch, excellent indie game. Incredibly unnerving in ways that I didn't expect. And yeah, it was kind of, it's almost a horror game, but not really. It's crazy. Very fun to play.
It has relaxing moments, doesn't it? You're in the bush watching fires, hanging out.
Yeah, it does. But then things happen and you're like, okay, that was really weird. And now I'm by myself here. And oh my God, I'm in the middle of the fucking bush by myself. And what the fuck's just happened? And yeah, honestly, there's things that happen in that game I don't want to ruin for anyone, but you definitely should play Firewatch if you haven't played it before. It's such a ripper. So yeah, there you go. All right, Grizz, Vampire Survivors patch 1.6 is coming out, and it's already out actually. It includes local co-op and a new engine, which will enable them to do all kinds of cool new features that they weren't possible with the old engine. And it's also available on Twitch. So there you go.
Dang, very cool, Cap. Vampire Survivors, nearly as good as Brotato, nearly. Hi-Fi Rush, Cap, has reached a total of 3 million players. Huge. The link that we've got for that announcement is in a language I can't read, Cap, which is pretty cool as well. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's Japanese, but yeah, 3 million players is nothing to scoff at. So well done to them.
Huge.
Now, Grizz, Embracer Group. This is the group that purchased a few Square Enix bits and pieces. Like they have the Deus Ex IP. They also have Tomb Raider, shit like that. They are doing a global review of existing pipelines of games in an effort to optimize return on investment. Sounds like, because they did a massive kind of push to buy a shitload of studios, and now I'm wondering whether maybe they bit off a bit more than they can chew. Maybe they're like, "Ooh, we're not really making as much money as we thought we're going to make." Rip. So,
or Cap, hear me out. What happens if they bought their, their competition out to then go, right, now we're just going to get rid of your studios, not have to worry about the competition anymore? Probably unlikely, but you never know, mate.
Well, you never know.
Suck,
I mean,
I just overspent there. Cap, seriously, I've just overspent a bit.
I think, maybe it's an overspend, and probably, I think maybe they were purchasing, I'm just trying to think roughly when they kind of bought stuff out during COVID and how much of an effect that might have had. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we're kind of getting to a stage now where things just aren't quite getting there. So I don't know. Interesting. So yeah, interesting, Grizz.
Baldur's Gate 3 copped a patch, Cap. They fixed many bugs, some of which stabilizing their multiplayer experience. But, kind of like we said, it's not a very buggy game. They've actually done quite a good job. Some minor ones here and there. But yeah, if you want to go check that out, there is a bit of a blog post around what they have fixed, what they haven't. But you know what's actually surprised me, Cap, is the the lack of or requirement of balancing things in that game, given the scope of. Well, I guess it has D&D, but all the items and stuff as well in there. Like I feel like there hasn't been a heap of that, which is impressive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think, I mean, I haven't found anything particularly unbalanced or anything, but I did find one thing that had a whole quest line behind it, and it's a particular weapon. I won't reveal too much,
Okay.
but it was like some Indiana Jones level shit of, like uncovering this ancient artifact, and it's insanely strong actually. But for good reason. It is a orange weapon, but yeah, very, very cool. But yeah, anyways. Grizz, Overwatch 2 director addresses Steam review bombing, stating, whilst the review bombing was not a fun experience, they said in quotation marks, the game's launch on Steam was seen as a net positive as it allowed new players to experience the shitstorm that is Overwatch 2. So that's a great silver
Wow,
lining.
did he call it a shitstorm? Yeah. Fucking hell, man. Even he doesn't believe in it.
Yeah. So there you go. Very good,
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 director.
Interesting. Cap, you'd be interested in this one. I think this is interesting. But WoW Classic is getting the next patch. It is getting a dungeon finder. So apparently, there's some people not too stoked about that.
I
because it's taking
bet there
away from
isn't.
that original
Wow.
experience.
Okay. Holy shit. That seems like a bad choice, honestly. I don't know if I agree with that, because I think the people who like WoW Classic like it for certain reasons, and certain reasons are generally because there's very little quality of life in that fucking video game, and everything
You gotta
sucks.
fucking run everywhere, and
Yeah.
got to wait till like level 30 to get them out, and it costs you 1,000 gold.
Yeah, talk about when you're talking about Blizzard making Diablo 4 in a way that made you just fucking waste your time. I mean, fucking that's a perfect example of wasting your time.
That is so true, dude. That is so true.
Yeah. All right, Grizz. Now, Sega rumors a potential Dreamcast mini console was too expensive to make. So apparently it was in development, but they decided no, it's just going to be way too expensive to put together, which is surprising, actually.
I think it was like going to cost like $300 or something for the console, which the other minis are all pretty cheap.
It doesn't surprise me, because the Dreamcast, like the actual controllers had like a little LCD mini screen in it, and those obviously would play into your video games as well. So the Dreamcast was a banger of a console, by the way. Like I had one. I don't know how my mum got it. I think she got it like at an op shop or something random. And I remember playing Sonic on there, and it had, I think you could hatch an egg or some shit off the Dreamcast controller LCD screen. And it was just, as a kid, I just thought it was the craziest fucking console I'd ever seen in my life.
It was a bit wacky, wasn't it? It was kind of like before the Wii, but it was kind of, trying to do something a bit different.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was a shame it didn't work out, but crazy console. Crazy.
Cap, Netflix obviously have been dipping their toes in the gaming bits and pieces for a while. Well, they're beta testing this gaming controller that uses like your phone as the controller. Kind of how you have the mobile gaming where you've got the little touch pads and X, Y, and bits and pieces on there. But the idea is that you can use your phone as the controller and use your TV or a PC as the gaming device, and and kind of use it that way. So that's being trialed in UK and Canada. I just thought that was interesting. And
now, Grizz, the reason they're doing this is because they are going to be doing video game streaming.
Yeah, right. That's pretty cool.
Because they had this weird thing going on with your Netflix app where you could sign into the app and then download games through the App Store for free off your subscription. But it seems like they're going to be having video games streamable through your actual service soon. And obviously, this controller seems to be a part of that as well. But I think the idea is to have games like Oxenfree and a few other bits and pieces. I think Moonlighter might be an option as well for streamability.
Oxenfree
But yeah,
too.
pretty interesting. Now, Grizz, COD 3 has been revealed, I'm pretty sure. I think it was revealed in an in-game event on Modern Warfare Battlezone. What the fuck do they call the freaking
Warzone 2? Is that
Warzone or Battlezone? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Battlezone.
Battlezone. They had an in-game event that kind of announced the next Call of Duty game, and this next iteration is set to have the largest zombies game mode offering to date. So there you go.
It's pretty cool. That kind of excites me. I actually, I like the zombies thing, and those people that may not know what that is. It's kind of like a horde mode
zombie
co-op
thing
with your friends, and you kind of kill zombies and you buy upgrades and you slowly work your way through. Bit of fun. It's pretty cool. Cap, Dave the Diver gets a major update. It includes some improvements to gameplay. I don't know how they could improve the gameplay. Cap's already pretty perfect. They've included some accessibility features and some bug fixes as well. So that is active now. If you want to jump back into that game, pretty good time to do so.
Pretty radical. Now, Greasley Gaming 86, Baldur's Gate 3 Collector's Edition resale is appearing on some online sales communities such as eBay, etc., at an average of 2,000 USD and climbing, which is out of control, but completely understandable.
Pretty popular game.
The contents of which comes with like a really cool Ithlid statue, and it looks like Karlak or some shit's fighting against it. You get what else do you get? You get character sheets, like a parchment map or some shit. You get an oversized metal D20, which looks radical. 160-page hardcover art book, a cloth map of Faerun, a keyring, a certificate of authenticity.
It's kind of crazy because you could see that if this game didn't pop like it did, the collector's edition would just kind of be like, not that great. But because this game has been so fucking popular, like I would love to have this, dude. I would love to have the collector's edition now.
I wish I had it as well now, in retrospect. But it's always in retrospect, isn't it, my friend?
The art book, mate, would be fantastic. It just looks a great coffee table book,
Absolutely. Yeah. But there you go. Now, Grizz, that is the Rapid Fire News, and that is the episode. Just want to thank everyone for being here, being freaking legends. Just generally, you guys rock. And we'll catch you next week. But before we go, just want to say to those listening at home, thank you, big time. Drop a review, tell someone about us. We'd really appreciate it. You can listen to us on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. You can go to ogr.show to find all of our wonderful links to our Twitter, where you can join the weekly poll, our Discord, where you can come and join the conversation, post a question, ask us shit. We'll ask you shit, It's great in there. You can also go and join our Patreon and spend $5 a month. That goes straight to us, and we'd really appreciate it. You can do that by going to OGR Show as well. So otherwise, the only other link that you might need is twitch.tv/Oceanic Gaming Radio. You can watch this show every Monday night from 7 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. Okay? We're live. You can join a bunch of freaking legends in here. But yeah, so there you go. Now, that's it. That's it from us. That's it from me. Anything else to say, boys?
All good from me, Capo.
Nada. There you go. Well, anyways, we'll see you guys next week on the Oceanic Gaming Radio. Peace out.
We did it, boys.
Hey!
We did it.
Man, that was
Well
a struggle for my brain. I'm not going to lie.
Nailed
I'm
it.
so
So much for a short episode. What the heck?
Yeah, sorry. we kind of did the Baldur's Gate deep dive.
Yeah. Again.
Which, yeah.
Charity
You
link.
didn't know you wanted it.
Good idea, Aries.
Oh, yeah.
We've already got the title. Just nice, I reckon. That's it.
Yep. Title's done. Nobody's going to find someone to freaking host?
That's the charity link in chat. It will be
Baldur's
in
Gate
the
is
episode
100% the new
description
Elden Ring,
as well.
honey.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah, and we'd be idiots not to let it be. I mean, it's
right.
it's virtually a perfect video game.
We've got turn-based Dave.
Yep, chug it. Let's do it. We already got a title.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
We are doing nice, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Nice.
All right. Whack it in there.
Or do we want? Oh yeah, turn-based Dave or the same.
That's
If we
fair, who?
we haven't done a turn-based Dave raid before, but that means
True.
we should probably stay in and chat.
I'm
for a
not
bit.
doing that. I'm
All
just
right,
letting
so
you know.
then let's raid Des because we can just.
I've already learned. I've already launched it. I can cancel.
Ah,
it.
that's fine. No, I did. If you're right, if I can.
That'll do.
I mean,
Launch it.
you guys know him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, easy. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I don't
Chris
know.
is really looking forward to chatting for a long period of time.
Beautiful. Get in
Probably
there,
a long
Grizzo.
time. I don't think he's
Hey.
streamed for a while.
I'm going to
Pretty
be
sure.
awake in probably an hour and a half looking after a baby. All right, so I haven't got fucking time for this shit. All right.
All
And
right.
I am looking forward to lying my head down. It's going to be so good.
I've got to edit this damn episode.
Love you, Twitch chat.
All
See
right.
you guys.
See you, fellas.
very
See you
soon.
next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.